Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a paid advertising. TheOnlyGround.com, onlyground.com is one of the most amazing places for information that I consistently go to. If you guys want to have conversations about our old interviews or even topics that we don't discuss, the group of people that are on the onlyground.com message boards are some of the most brilliant that I have ever come across. Those little like knick-knack facts that we get here and there, that's where a lot of it comes from. Please check out the link in the bio.
Welcome to the Lights Out Podcast. This is Chris Lights Out Lytle, and this is our journey to document the history of mixed martial arts. I have brought with me my friend, the MMA detective Mike Davis, and together we will preserve the history and hear some great stories from the world in the era of the no-holds-barred. Thank you and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Lights Out MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti. I'm with the host of the show, the MMA detective Mike Davis. We have a special episode for you today. Our guest today is a veteran of Pride in Japan, the UFC in America, and Vale Tudo in Brazil. He was also the King of the Cage super heavyweight world champion. Welcome to the show, Dan the Bull Bobish. Good to meet you.
How you guys doing, buddy?
Dan,
nice to see you.
So every once in a while, we get a tip from like they give us, like, one of our listeners would throw us like $10.
Right.
And what we do with it is, for $2, I can pay a service to track down a phone number for me.
Yeah.
Dude, you're the second one off the list that I got an interview with.
My phone number's been on billboards in Cleveland, everywhere, man. For years, I have the same number. I'm amazed you couldn't get it.
I mean, I barely graduated high school. So, Dan Bobish, let's start from the beginning, man. Like, you're Mount Union College, three-time All-American?
Champ, three-time All-American, NCAA's in 92. I was number one in the nation.
Was it Division II or is it Division III?
Three.
Okay. So where do you kind of get hooked on mixed martial arts? What event or what fight was it that did it?
I wasn't even watching. I was bouncing in Cleveland in the flats, beating everybody. Never lost a fight in the street. And everyone goes, "You need to go fight that stuff on TV." And we're bouncing at the beach club downtown, and there it was on TV, like UFC 4 or 5. And I watched it, and I went, "Them guys are crazy fighting in the cage." And the guy goes, "You just fought 3 guys in the middle of the road. They could have had a gun or a knife." I'm like, "Yeah, you got a point. They got a referee. There's no guns or not." "Yeah, I'll." So I went looking into it, and I met Dan Severn.
And how did you connect with him? How'd you connect with him?
I went to Washington, D.C. They had the Fearless Fighting Challenge. So I called, and they said, "Yeah, come out and fight." So I was a national champion, time All-American. They took me right on. But I get down there, and then they tell me there's no headshots. I go, "What?" I signed up for the UFC. They was in a cage, the whole 9 yards. Groin strikes were legal, all that stuff, submissions, but no punches to the head or kicks to the head. So Dan Severn was the guest referee, and that's how I met him.
Okay. So did you train with Dan at all?
Yeah, I stayed up in Michigan at his place a few times.
All right. Was Mark Densberger there?
No, I really didn't train with Dan. We rolled around, goofing around, but I mean, I stayed up there a few times. We did some events. He was putting on shows as a guest, and I went with him.
Okay, so like Mark Densberger was not there. Was
No.
Richard Hamilton at any point?
No, he wasn't there. Becky Levi came the one time, and then I went to Arizona to train with Don Fry, and I met Becky down there and stayed at her house. Well, I stayed at Don Fry's house for a week and a half or 2 weeks, and then I stayed with Becky for a couple of weeks. Then me and Fry got me into pro wrestling in Japan later on in my career.
Okay, so when you were down in Arizona with Fry, did you work out with Richard Hamilton?
I was at the same gym with him, but I really didn't do anything with him. They were looking at me like I was a crazy man.
What was your experience with him? What was he like?
I didn't really do anything with him.
Nothing?
I talked a little bit. Nothing really. I swear to God. I mean, he was non-existent when I was there. Like, he was there, but not like, "Hey, how you doing?" Nothing. I was I was 26 years old. I just wanted to roll and throw punches and fight, and no one really wanted to roll around with me. That's when Scott Ferozzo That's why I was down there. Ferozzo flew me down there Becky called me to be his training partner when he fought Tank Abbott. And he was supposed to fight Tank Abbott a second time. And he ended up fighting Belfort again or something like that. But Scott
Right.
Ferozzo put me down there and I was beating Ferozzo up. So they flew me home early because I was ruining his brain.
Oh wow. So I don't
Yeah.
mean to keep kind of circling back to the same
Yeah,
question,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but Hamilton was one of the notorious figures in mixed martial arts. Like I know if there was a dark side of MMA that actually
Yeah. My
concentrated
first
on the
few
dark side.
fights, I had no coach, no nothing. I just went and fought. I had no manager, no nothing.
Did Hamilton jump off the radar as a weirdo or anything like that?
I didn't know him. I didn't know him. Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Like I didn't talk to him, wasn't friends with him, didn't have
That's
his
okay.
number, nothing.
That's it. All right. So the guys from Dan Severn's camp would walk in with the Tripp Academy people. Did you ever work out with the Sambo group, the Tripp Academy? This is not Ron Tripp, it's Ron Tripp's, I think,
When I was
cousin.
with Dan,
Cousin.
there was a guy there that might have been the guy you're talking about. He sat in the office with me and Severn, only two in his giant facility he had just built, where he had the 5 wrestling mats and a pro wrestling ring and a boxing ring, and he had 20 bunk beds. It was just me and Severn rolling around together. There was no one else
Wow.
there. Yeah, it was just me and him, like a private. Let's just roll around and get some workout in.
So you met Becky Levi. She was
Years later.
Oh, really? Because arguably in the early days, like that you're talking about, she was arguably the toughest woman in the world.
Yeah, I bet she was. She's tough. She never rolled with, well, a couple times we goofed around, rolled around, but I was a freak compared to, most guys. Don Fry wouldn't roll with me, way too big. I was 310 pounds in, benching 650 like it was nothing, with no wraps, no bench shirt, no nothing. I was just really
Jesus.
strong. It was weird because I was the kid that had no management. They sent me 3 tickets to go to Brazil the first time I went in '96, and I go, why would they send me 3 tickets? It's just me. It was for a coach in a corner, and I had no idea. And I threw them in the garbage can and went to Brazil all by myself. Got on a plane. I get off in it.
Let me set the table.
Yeah.
Wait. Let me set the table on this. This is fantastic. So Dan's first fight ever.
My first fight ever.
October 22nd, 1996, Universal Valley Tudo fighting 4 in Brazil. Headbutts are allowed, soccer kicks are allowed, and it's bare knuckle. It's one of the more brutal organizations you can fight for. So Frederico Lapenda is the promoter.
Yeah, Dan Severn goes, hey, you want to go to Brazil? That was my first fight. When he called me, I'm like, yeah, but I've never flown before in my life.
Wow.
And he told me how to get my passport. I remember putting a quarter in the payphone. I go, what number is this on my pager? Because there's no cell phones back then. And I said $2.75. I went and got a roll of quarters, put the money in. It was Dan Severn. He goes, remember me, Bubba? I met him like 6 months earlier. We hadn't talked since I gave him my number, said I'd love to fight. Blah, blah, blah. Never lost a fight in my life. Great wrestler. So anyway, he calls me. He goes, do you want to go fight in Brazil? I'm like, yeah. He goes, do you want to know how much you're getting paid, who you're fighting? I go, I'll fight anybody. And then I was 17 days later, I was on a plane to Brazil.
All those years,
fight ever.
All those
I
years
was
of
26.
wrestling, you never took a flight for any of your wrestling stuff.
Never went nowhere. No.
Wow.
I mean, I drove to New Jersey, drove to Bismarck, North Dakota for nationals. Yeah. Never flew.
When you go to Brazil, usually kind of like the Americans all hang out with each other.
Yeah. When I flew down to Atlanta, that's where I met Kevin Randleman, Mark Coleman, Dave Beneteau, Dan Severn, and Becky were all waiting. We all met up in Atlanta, then we got on a plane to go to Rio, to South America. It's like the hub was Atlanta. Everybody flew there, and everybody went down.
Yeah.
So and I was by myself.
Well, you being an Ohio boy, and you're running into Randleman and Coleman.
2 more Ohio boys, yeah.
Did you guys ever
Never. They're Division I.
Were they just kind of snobs about it, or?
No, because they wouldn't wrestle with me. Wouldn't really wrestle with me at all, because I think they had their own little clique for a while. Then I became close with them. After me and Randleman fought each other, we became buddies. and we hung out. And then years later, three Ohio boys are in Japan together again. It was wild how we were in Brazil twice together, and then years later in 2002, I go to Japan, and there's Coleman and Randleman in Japan already, and then we start hanging out there.
All right, so you fought an 8-man tournament, Universal Valley Tudo 4. What did you get paid for it?
$1,250 to show, $1,250 to win.
On an
And if you
8-man
beat
tournament?
all three guys, you got 20 grand if you beat all three guys in a row. Yeah, so I got $2,500, and I beat the first guy, then I beat Beneteau, and then I lost in the finals to Randleman.
Yeah, Mauro, Bernardo. Like, if you
Yeah.
look at like all the Brazilians, they were almost like set up to lose against you guys. It was like the Americans and foreigners were kind of brought in to beat the local talent.
You know, it's funny, when I got in that cage, I'm sitting there waiting. I know there was no press conference, no weigh-ins. I go, who in the hell am I fighting? And the guy gets in the cage, and I go, that's the dude who was driving our van. The guy from the airport. He had a referee shirt on. I go, hey, who am I fighting? He goes, him. And I saw the little guy. I thought that was the referee. He goes, you fight him? I go, you're a dead motherfucker. And that's how little he was. He was 190 or whatever, Bernardo, 185. I go, there's no way that guy can beat me. I don't care what he knows. And then it was over in a minute, 43 or something like that. Just grabbed him by the throat and started choking and headbutting until he quit. And
then you get Dave Bernardo, or
Dave Beneteau.
Dave Beneteau as well.
That freaked me out because I saw him in the finals of UFC 5, and he was with Dan Severn. So that when I'm there and I beat the first guy, then I got to fight Beneteau. All of a sudden, Severn and Becky quit talking to me. They're with Beneteau downstairs, and I'm in the hallway by myself going, oh, this sucks. I got no corner or nothing. And I walked out by myself and fought Beneteau, and he hit me as much as I hit him in that fight, but I cut him. He got 17 stitches, broke his nose. He was bleeding pretty bad at the end of that fight.
And then you wind up in the finals with Randleman.
With a broken hand. I ended up fighting. The doctor kept pulling on my hand backstage. Broke. I go, no, it's okay. And it hurt so bad. But I was hoping to get that 20,000. But I fought Randleman basically with one hand.
Yeah, dude, the audience was taunting him with like monkey noises and stuff like that.
Oh, it was crazy. They were throwing beer bottles at us, everything, walking out. It was crazy. Yeah, they hated us. The second time I went to Brazil, they said the truck broke down and no cage. We're like, what? Because they knew the wrestlers were going to run you into the fence and beat the crap out of you. And that's when what's his name? Carlo Barreto, who just won the Russian Absolute.
Wait. I gotta come and explain something to you. You are an impossible get. You're like an interview that nobody gets. We're slow walking this, man. We're taking our time because your next fight is against Joe Charles in a World Fighting Federation.
The Ghetto Man.
February 24th, 1997. Joe Charles.
The World Fighting Federation with Judo Gene LaBelle. I'll never forget him. He was funny. He was funny backstage.
Was he in Joe's corner?
Yeah. No, he was commentating, but he was Joe's buddy. But he told me, please don't hurt poor Joe.
Oh, this is the card where Gokor fights in the main event.
The fake fight.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be you win and you got 10 grand, and then you come back and you're supposed to, or 5 grand, and if you win the next fight you get 10 or 20, and then if you come back after that you get big money, and it folded after a couple of times.
Yeah. Did you know, like, when Gokor fought Mr. Maeda, that it was like a fake fight going into it? Or
no, I didn't even know who those guys were back then. Didn't care less. I really didn't pay. I had no coach, no nothing. When Coleman and Randleman came out to help me in the corner, and they're, my coach back then when I fought Joe Charles, that's when I was with Marcus with Strong Style. That's one of his first fights with me. And and then Coleman, you hear Coleman and Randleman out there screaming during that fight. It was funny.
So you're talking about Marcus Marinelli, So Strong Style is it's.
I was the first fighter he ever had. He was just doing Taekwondo when I met him.
So they're like an old school gym that has had several UFC fighters.
Stipe Miocic was friends with Bart Vale when I met him doing shoot fighting. Right. But he did Taekwondo school first. And it's basically that. And Bart would come up once in a blue moon. He never rolled with me though. Just show me a couple of heel hooks and watch.
You had Stipe Miocic. You had
Yeah, I brought Stipe to the gym. The reason
Stipe.
he ever fought was because of me.
Really?
Yeah, Stipe would have never been a fighter if it wasn't for Bobish, because he was training at my buddy's gym, my roommate from college, and he was playing baseball. And my buddy goes, Bobish needs someone to train with. You wrestled at Cleveland State. Would you call Bobish? Would you go wrestle with him? And Stipe said, yeah, sure, I'll go up there. And that's how he got into strong style. And the first time he ever showed up, and he was just there to roll around with me. And
What
that's
year
how
was that?
Geez, that's when I fought Mark Hunt, I think.
Okay. Yeah, probably
2002, 2001.
Yeah.
Yep. Or Igor, maybe. It might have been a fight before that. Yeah, but he was never, he had no dreams of fighting until he met me, till I called, Vic asked him to wrestle with me. And
Yeah,
he
you
goes,
had
you think I can do this? And he wanted me, yeah, Stipe wanted me, he goes, you could be my manager, you be anything, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, dude, just, I'm not a snake. I don't want none of your money. Just buy me a truck and a boat when you make your first million.
Huh.
You know, remember where you started at, where you got your, calling from. And we rolled for a while, but then I was out of that gym, pro wrestling and stuff. Then I was gone, and them guys took off like gangbusters.
Yeah,
I would still go there.
Stipe, I mean, he was a junior college All-American wrestler.
Yeah, Cleveland
And-
State too.
Yeah, okay, and he was a national qualifier Golden Gloves boxer.
I thought he won it.
Did he win the nationals, or did
Yes.
he come in the final four? He won the nationals?
I thought he won nationals with Marcus and them. Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
He
did.
did win. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
the pedigree.
He did everything Marcus said to do, took his time, trained hard, and Jesus, became a machine.
Yeah, I don't think he gets enough credit. Like he was kind of benched a lot for like weird reasons.
It's a personality thing, not good on camera, make people laugh and stuff. Like guys that aren't as good as fighters as him, they go way further because they can talk and, what's the, the guys in UFC, they're decent fighters, but nothing to write. Stipe would crush them, but they get more of a push because they got more gimmick on the like a pro wrestling thing. They can talk it up and ham it up with the audience, and they get more play.
Like Derek Lewis. Yeah.
I was just thinking that guy, Derek Lewis. I couldn't remember the name. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Pride throwback fighter, one trick pony, phenomenal trick though. But yeah.
Huge right hand.
Yeah, I agree. So you go back to here. It is. You're in Brazil. Your first fight for a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You do fairly well. Back in the United States, Joe Charles. Then you go back to Brazil. So it's October 96, first fight, February 24th, 97, second fight, March 3rd, 1997. So you're like 2.5 weeks later, you're back in Brazil doing another tournament.
I wasn't training nowhere, dude. I was just bouncing in the bar and go fight somewhere. But I was always in great shape.
Did you have a good relationship with Frederico Lapenda, the promoter?
No, not at all. I talked to Severn. Severn's the one that talked to him to get me into the fight. I didn't know him. Yeah, I met him, shook his hand. That was it.
He's got an interesting history.
Oh, yeah, I know. I heard all about it.
What did you hear?
Nothing.
Well, I may have heard the same thing.
Yeah. Shady.
Yeah.
Shady character.
So Jucimar Hypolito is your first match. You knock him out.
Yeah, that was a heck of a knockout.
5 seconds.
Yeah, 9 on the computer, but yeah, 5. He went through the ropes, and I went to hit him outside the ring, and the referee grabbed my arm. And Coleman told me, Coleman was going, just take him down. He's a boxer. Don't stand and punch with him. I go, I'm knocking this dude out. They didn't put it in the cage. They lied to us. I'm killing him. And I couldn't. He hit me so fast. Like you see in that fight, he hits me twice before I threw a punch. But the first punch I hit him was first, second, third, and it was over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool.
Carlos Barreto, who in 97
comes out with all the Gracies.
Yeah, in my opinion, he's like top 5 in the world at this time.
Yeah, you call it Carlson, Gracie Academy, all the guys, Victor Belfort, they're all with him. Wild Ismail, all of them are out there with him.
Any trash talk, or was it?
Oh God, they hated me. Yeah, if you knew what I said to him in the ring to get him to come at me. And when he rushed me, I threw that big step jab and I knocked him out. The fight was over with the first punch of the fight. If you see me when I do a giant step jab and he drops and I back up and I look at him and I go, holy shit. And I run up and jump on him, start bouncing his head off the mat, and I woke him up.
You woke him up. Yep.
He was out with a step jab, 13 stitches after the fight from one punch. And I mean, I worked on that step jab on the heavy bag all the time, just jumping, boom. I would do that. That's all I did was hit a bag. I never sparred with nobody, nothing.
Can I ask what you said to piss him off, or is that something we're going to leave alone?
I called him a certain name.
Oh, okay.
So let's go, mother. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I made him jump across the ring. I was so hot, I threw a fire extinguisher at him backstage behind the curtains. I'm like, I was losing my mind. I wanted to kill somebody that night because they lied. They wouldn't pay us. Supposed to pay us before the fight. They didn't pay us. Supposed to be in a cage. It was in a ring. They gave us a different hotel we're supposed to be in. Everything was changed. And people are like, dude, you're nuts. You don't have no one here, nothing. You're going to go to jail in a third world country. I'm like, these guys are pieces of shit. They treat us like, they treat us Americans like crap. Literally.
Is this the night where Coleman tried to fight Brazil?
Yeah. Well, my fight. During my fight, when he's smacking hands and punching, yeah. Because they were cheating.
And Coleman challenged an entire section of the audience.
Yep. Yep. And I'd have been right out behind him, swinging right with him.
Yeah, so to kind of put in proper context, sometimes when the American wrestler was on top of the Brazilian and really kind of getting the upper hand, the Brazilians would run around the ring and pull the guy out of the ring in order to get
Barreto with me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was to get a restart.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
Then when he went under the ropes,
out of the ring. Yeah.
He would go under the ropes, and I go to punch him, and he grabs my arm and throws his leg over, but my head's in between two ropes, and Belfort, a couple of guys go, he quit. I say, F you. I'm trying to hit them outside the ring on the edge of the apron. And Wallet Ismail was right in my face. I never forget that guy. If I could have grabbed him by the throat, I'd have pulled him in the ring. But they're saying I said I quit. I go, I never said that, you lying piece of shit. They couldn't believe I was beating up their boy so bad.
Right.
So Joey, like in the future, to combat, never mind disqualifying somebody or taking a point away, they put like a little net from like the bottom
rope.
I
remember when they did that when Kerr started fighting there.
So what they did was they would just like push the bottom rope down and then pull them
on top of that one.
Yeah, it didn't stop anything.
Well, at least they had a net.
It was
with no net, you just slide right out and they start you in the middle, right? And then someone like me, 5 minutes, you're gassed. And we went 9 minutes and something with Barreto, and he never beat me. I just got so tired I couldn't breathe anymore. The triangle he had on me wasn't even tight. I just could not breathe anymore. I was tired.
Did you ever interact with Carlson Gracie afterward?
I went to Hugo Duartes' gym I rolled around with him.
The Lucha Libre guys.
A couple of days. Yeah, they wanted me to. They flew me to California. They wanted me to fight for Lucha Libre flag, all this stuff.
Oh, dude, I would have done it.
I stayed in California 2 weeks. Well, I said I have bills back home. If you'll get me some money, I'll stay. I'll fight with no shirt on, no wrestling shoes, and they wouldn't get. And they said, "We get you a job, bodyguard, maybe Tom Cruise, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Yeah, I need money now, not in a couple months." And the guy wouldn't do it. I forget that guy. He's a real little Brazilian guy. What the heck was his name?
Eugenio Tadao. Oh, manager.
No. He had a balding head.
Sergio Bottarelli?
No,
he's not little. He's tall.
No, this guy was maybe 5'9", 170 pounds, 180 pounds, dripping wet. But he said everything you want to hear, but I'll pay you.
Was he dark skin or light skin?
Dark.
It may have been Tadao. He fought Pat Miocic in the tournament. He was really heavily intertwined with the Lucha Libre guys. I don't think he spoke English though.
This guy spoke broken English that I was dealing with because he's the one that I dealt with. He gave me an apartment when I was out there. Took me to all the bars in Beverly Hills and tried to like wine and dine me to keep me out there. But I stayed like a week or two, and I was like, I'm out of here. I got
The
to get
Luta
money.
Livre guys were in LA. I didn't know that.
Well, it was
Yeah,
Ruas. It was
yeah,
Ruas and Hizzo.
yeah. Hugo Duarte and Marco Ruas was coming in and out. Yep.
Was that Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu?
I forget what gym they were at. I went to the gym a couple of times, but they didn't even have a billboard up on it yet. They just moved there, and they were trying to get some like names, like me. I was ranked immediately after the Brazil thing. I got, ranked like 18th, I think. After I beat the hell out of Barreto. I was ranked in the top 15 or 8 to 20 in the world for, really fast.
Did Duarte speak any English?
No, none, nothing.
Damn.
He just laughed and say, okay.
I think he moved back. Shit, dude, I would
we
love
go
that. Dude, can you
again.
imagine those Lucha Libre cats?
I was training with Hugo Duarte.
It was great. He's tough. He's a tough guy. He was just telling me, you're too big.
Yeah.
Did you get any rounds with Ruas?
No, I never got to roll with him. He just told me some leg kicks and stuff. I went to his gym in Rio. That's where I first met him. And they took us around. Bad Boy Clothing took us to different places. And I went to that gym in Rio. And he had a nice little place, man. And he had just won UFC 9, a couple. Coleman had just won 10 when we went to Brazil the second time. And that's where I met Hugo and Marco Ruas. And then I met him again in California.
Yeah. Like if you look at your trajectory, so October of 96 is your first fight. You've never really trained.
Yeah.
July of 97, less than a year, you're making an appearance at UFC 14.
Yeah. I trained a couple months with Marcus, and then we were off and running.
Marcus
Marinelli. Strong style.
Yep. So Joey, California native Brian Johnston, who really made a name for himself at this point.
You know what?
Yeah.
My beginning training partner, see my brain, I've been hit a lot, right? Jeff Cox, who went to Maple Heights High School with me, he's a Cleveland police officer. He fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
He was like 150, 140 pounds. He was who I would roll with every day. It was just me and him. We'd go to Maple Heights High School and roll. And then when I started going to Marcus's, he knew one of our friends went there with Marcus, and he goes, "You got to meet this guy. He's done that submission shit." And I'm like, "Oh, okay," because no one knew what this was back then. It was only legal in 2 states when I fought in the UFC. It was only legal in Mississippi and Alabama, I think, was the only 2 states that would have a fight.
Or Denver, yeah.
Yeah, maybe Denver,
Colorado.
But then they closed it out of there after that. They weren't letting them back, I think. But anyway, I remember it was only legal in a couple states, and the boxing commission hated it. But anyway, Jeff and me rolled. That was my training partner, a little guy, all the time. He has heart of gold, like a brother to me.
So for those at home that are kind of keeping score, Jeff Cox was one of the original strong style guys, and he would always wear maroon, like
Maple Heights tights. Maple Heights wrestling, the wrestling tights we had. That's what I wore too. We all wrestled. The old school uniform had the maroon tights.
So like you'd see this dude with lots of chest hair and in these spandex pants, not shorts, but pants.
Yeah, right. The maroon
and
pants.
You'd be like, oh, this guy, this is one of those guys fighting in basketball shorts. You're like, he's
right.
Easier to get murdered. And Cox was a tough SOB, man. I've seen him fight at least 6 or 7 times live. Yeah,
he's real tough. He's got a heart of stone, man. I mean, he's a tough guy. Forrest Pet's another tough ass that came there later. He fought in the UFC. Forrest Pet's the meat cleaver.
The meat cleaver, Forrest Pet's.
All those guys are like my, they're all training with me when I went to fight Brian Johnson. But then after Johnson, I quit fighting after the UFC, and then had a kid, and then I came back a couple of years later and fought again, and that's when all those guys were there, and I met all these new guys, and we all started training together.
Well, here, that's UFC 14. Brian Johnston, who
1997,
was a favorite to be in the finals that day. He was kind of one of those little golden boys from the UFC. They really liked.
I was supposed to fight Barreto that night.
He pulled out.
He pulled out, and they put Brian Johnson. And I go, I've seen you fight, dude. I saw him before the fight. I've seen you fight, but I trained really hard to kill Barreto because I was really upset how that fight ended, and I was in great shape that night. But I didn't train for Mark Kerr. I trained for Barreto. And then I heard about Brian Johnson like a couple a week before I went down there. I'm like, okay, same thing, tall guy, lanky. But then when I had to fight Kerr, it freaked me
Well,
out because I saw him and Coleman training together.
yeah. Okay. So Brian Johnston, you win. I think
Yeah, I
with
just crushed
forearm
him.
choke, but I mean, you were just too big for him and too
Yeah,
physical.
I headbutt him really hard a couple of times.
You were cornered by Becky Levi.
No, I wasn't cornered. She was there. I was cornered by Marcus Marinelli,
Okay.
strong style. Becky was behind him and screaming
Okay.
her head off, but
Yeah.
she was not my corner, but she was there. She jumped in the ring, put the towel on me, and she did
Okay.
everything your corner's supposed to do. But we weren't. Marcus didn't even know what the hell to do. Like, hey, just go out there and beat the guy, and that's what I did. And then when I fought Kerr, so many things went wrong that could go wrong before that fight. They told me I had 45 minutes, and then 5 minutes later, they go, "You're on in 5." I go, I just took my gloves off, my shoes off, and you told me I had
Oh.
45 minutes. You're on in 5. I'm like, what the? And then my buddy who got shot and killed in front of me in college, his dad was there with me backstage. That was a mistake because his dad came up to me when I'm getting ready for Kerr going, "Come on, Johnny, you can do it, Johnny." I go, "I'm not John, I'm
Oh.
Dan, dude." And John looked just like me. He was like my roommate in college, and he got shot and killed over a car stuck in the snow in '94. But anyway, he freaked me out. And Marcus and Jeff Cox were going like, "Dude, hit that guy away from Dan. He's ruining Bobish's brain." And when I walked out that curtain, I looked at Marcus and Jeff. I go, "I'm going to lose this fight. I am
Oh.
mentally screwed right now." Before I even walked down to the cage, it was over.
Well, I think Kerr also, I mean, he's about the size of an actual refrigerator, like just his
Nah, he's
traps
only
alone.
250. He was only 250, 255. But I mean,
A
if I
specimen.
would have had my brain right, I'd have crushed him too. I really believe that. I really do. Because when I trained for the right person, I beat everybody I fought unless I was out of shape and I gassed, and they beat me after I beat him up for a while. Like Mark Hunt, I beat the living hell out of him till I gassed. Igor Vachanian, I beat the hell out of him till I gassed. I mean, you look at all the fights, I beat everybody up until I gassed out. The only guy that got me was Jimmy Ambriz, and I wasn't supposed to fight him. But then there's got divorced 2 weeks before and
Yeah.
didn't need a divorce. But anyway, I needed money. So I called them and said, signing autographs with Severn and Shamrock and Gracie. I was supposed to be there for Trouble Terry got just signing autographs. I'll fight. They give me Jimmy Ambriz, and I go out there and what a mistake. I should have never been there. Didn't train a day.
Yeah. Well, you were also, for the Kerr fight, you were sponsored by the Silver Bullet at that point.
Silver bullet.
Yeah, you were wearing it. It was on your shorts.
Oh yeah, they gave me like $500. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you lost to Kerr by a chin to the eye. One of the
It
few.
wasn't on my shorts. The silver bull. I had the bulls. The only thing on my shorts was the
Okay.
bull embroidered on my shorts, my nickname. But there was a guy, well, maybe wore the hat.
Was that the
You wear
okay?
this hat, I'll give you $500. And I think it was silver. I don't even remember what it said, but I wore it out.
You're one of the few people that lost to by a chin to the eye, which is
And
not
they
a
made a
legal
new
move.
rule in UFC 15, no
Yeah.
eye gouging with chin, the next UFC.
Yeah.
And that hurt. And I used to do it to everybody at practice, choking around, and they would do it to me. And lo and behold, I get it done to me in a fight. And my dad said, what happened? You should have never gave up." I'm like, "Let me show you why, Grandpa."
Oh.
I locked down his head. He was just sitting in a kitchen chair, and I put my chin in his eyeball, and he started. My dad's 350, 370 when he was in his 60s anyway. He started punching me, trying to get away. I go, "Now lay on your back. Let me get on my toes and use my chin as a fulcrum in your eyeball and see how tough you really are." It
Yeah,
hurts.
that was a
Yeah.
good thing to outlaw.
Yeah, because everybody could beat anybody with that.
Chris
Yeah.
No
Hazeman.
one's going to withstand that pain. Nobody.
You hear a little dorky note. I know Josh, one of the guys that helps with the gathering information from the shows, he's yelling at his computer right now. Chris Hazeman is the Australian guy that used to do that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was just there's really I think there might only be two people that got submission wins like that way. Kerr
Yeah.
and Hazeman. October 22nd, 27, 2001, you fight a 400-pound truck driver
Red
named
Hogg.
Brett Hogg.
So why the 4-year layoff?
Yeah. Thank you, Joey.
I had a kid.
That'll do it.
There's no money in it. You know what I mean? I got 10 grand for the UFC, and then the agent I had through Becky, this guy Robert DePersia, he wanted 40% of whatever I got. I
Jesus.
mean, he did
So
nothing besides make a phone call.
So DePersia at this time was like
First
managing
and last manager ever had.
Coleman. He was managing, this guy. He had like a lot of real big names.
40%.
Dude. So I actually talked to him about 8 months ago, trying to kind of figure out an interview with him because he's just had such a terrible reputation.
Yeah.
The conversation went so horribly that I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of this. I'm like, I can't.
I would not want to talk to him no more.
How did he sucker all you guys?
Becky told me he'll get you fights, he'll get you this, he'll get you that, he'll take care of you, he'll get you sponsors. He got me nothing but take my money.
Yeah, he's an excellent attorney.
I go, UFC, what are you talking about? I mean, he got you UFC. I go, yeah, but I would have rather fought later when I had a few more fights under my belt and some more time. But I took it on last minute notice because it was Barreto. And I'm like, yes, I want Barreto. I'll fight him right now. And that's the only reason I fought in that UFC. I mean, yeah, I wanted to get to the big show, but there was no money in it back then.
So why'd you take Brett Hogg then? I mean, was it just kind of knocked?
It was my first fight back. I said, I left me and my wife were getting divorced. And I said, I'm going back to fighting. And I started training Marcus again. I was up to like 410 or 15 pounds. I dropped down to like, I think when I fought Brett Hogg, I was like 340, 360, somewhere in there.
I think
I've been lost like 60 some, in like 20 some seconds.
Yeah.
Snapped it twice.
Ooh.
Just got a key lock and spun off, and all my weight, it went crack.
Did you ever work out with Obaki?
No.
Oh, wow. I thought for sure you may have.
Who is that?
Obaki, the
Tim Cadolfo.
Bells are ringing yet.
he used to he was out of Atlanta. He opened up a gym with Bill Goldberg.
Oh no, I never was down there.
Chiropractor.
Nope.
He's he's an interesting guy to Google search. That's all I'm good. Oh my God. Like burning his own bar down at one point. Yeah. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, he got convicted.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I got fucked Brett Hogg, and then I got called to fight Pele right next.
Okay, yeah. So February 9, 2002, you got Erik Pele.
So figure I didn't train hardly at all. I trained like maybe 6 months to a year with Marcus, right before I quit fighting. I had all of those 6 fights or how many ever fights it was, 8 fights, and then I take a time to leave. I don't even know how long I was off. I can't even remember. Had a kid. Loved my daughter to death, Angelina, but then her mommy started falling apart. I go, I quit fighting for this. I'm out of here, and started training again. And I remember they called me to go to fight Pele, and I go, because I fought Brett Hogg. I go, I need like 3 more warm-up fights before I fight anybody of great talent. I want to do this right this time. I want to be in shape. And Marcus and me were on it. And I guess he get you in to Pele for the world title. I'm like, how much? I thought some real money, $1,250.
Oh my God!
Well, let's kind of put
That
this
was
in its proper context. So Marcus Marinelli, where you're training at, I think his gym,
Strong Style.
Well, you say Strong Style, but I think at this time it was called Trace's Karate. Was that what it was called?
It was Tracy's Karate, but it was Strong Style when we within a year of us being there.
Okay.
He had turned it into, well, maybe we were always Strong Style, like years within a year or two after I got with him, it was Strong Style. Yeah, Tracy's Karate. Because when I was under Bart Vale shoot fighting, that's right. In the beginning, I wore a shoot fighting shirt with Bart Vale, and they call him Bart Vale during the World Fighting Federation.
All right. So Bart Vale also kind of a controversial name within mixed martial arts. What was your thoughts of him?
Fake. I didn't think he was that tough.
All around fake?
No, in Japan, but see, it was all open palm, stuff. He never fought, like, I love him like Paul Rutten. He never fought that guy. How many tough guys did he fight? But he was before Rutten, wasn't he?
He was definitely before Rutten. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was tough. But I mean, when it came, the one guy he fought in Florida, that little guy in the cage, who was that? It was on paper. It was they had the
Mike
big
Batonio?
yes. He crushed Batonio, but that guy
Joey,
was on something, man. He kept coming.
Joey, for you to even know that. So Petonio, who died, his kid is actually a Hall of Fame
Really?
lineman out of
Wow.
like the Cleveland Browns, bro. You kidding me?
Really?
Yeah, Petonio's
Batonio.
kid.
That's that name?
Yep, that's his dad.
No kidding.
Yep.
How did he get so big? His dad was so small. His dad was Mike was
he was
small.
Mike was like a Hawaiian bone crusher, wasn't he, Joey?
No, that was the big guy who fought Tank Abbott.
Well, no. They were both out of
They were
Cautious
both.
Gym, Kapi Kuialua or
Oh
something it was
yeah,
called.
that's right.
Yeah.
But he was like what, 190, 180 pounds at the most?
I don't know. I thought he was like 6'1", 200. He looked small underneath Vale, but he wasn't really.
The
a
Veil
little
was only
guy.
235,
Yeah.
240.
Well,
All right,
I mean, yeah.
All right, so you say he's kind of a fake fighter, but how was his skill like in teaching in the gym? And
He didn't teach me a thing. Never.
Really?
Nothing. He showed me a leg kick and then how to miss the kick and throw the heel back and hit the thigh. When he came to Cleveland, it was like tell jokes, take me somewhere to eat. I mean, him and Marcus did their thing, but even Marcus is like, he's not really showing. Like I would roll with Marcus, and he would just walk around us and say stuff. But I was like, I thought I was going to wrestle with him and learn something and roll together. Like me and Severn rolled for a few days hard. We went at it for a while. Like Vale never ever once grabbed onto me and said, "Let's wrestle," because I think he knew what would happen. And he's older, but he wasn't that much older, and he talked like he could crush me back then. I'm like, let's see how good your submissions are, because I didn't know submissions. I would love to have learned them, but Marcus, my only submission I knew was grab the head and pull the chin to the chest.
The can opener.
Okay, so that's an Obaki move. So like,
but then Marcus showed me a bunch of moves. But I mean, I heel hooks and stuff like that in a fight. Really, I didn't use them. I just wanted to headbutt, punch, and elbow.
All right, Erik Pele, what was your training camp like for him?
Great. I quit my job. I was a construction. I was an inspector in construction full time. And I told my boss, I got this chance to fight for some belt. I'm taking it. I even know it's no money. And I made $5,000 on one sponsor and a couple of grand on another sponsor and $1,000 on another sponsor. So I made quadruple the money I made I did in the fight. But anyway, I quit my job for 12 weeks and I trained 2 a-days like a monster. I trained hard. And me and Mark, he was with me every day. Him and Jeff were with me every day, every night. I mean, and Marcus was only 180 to 190 pounds back then.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want to tell me that, but he'd tell me, dude, I would go home and be so wrenched from you grabbing onto me and, just ripping my body every which way. He's the only guy I had to roll with. Then I would call my buddies who I bounced with, but they don't know how to wrestle. They don't know how to fight. And they would come up and roll with me, but it was just like flop, 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 Donnie Pope, world's strongest man, third in the world in Africa. He's my buddy. He come in and rolled me a couple of times. He's like, I'm done with this. You're going to break something on me. He made it like 30 minutes one day. That was it. So it's hard to find partners that were over 200 pounds that wanted to go.
Dan, to kind of compound that as well, like you did suffer from cardio issues, but a guy your size, you're not doing
333 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, you can't do road work. Like road work would really be bad for your body.
Marcus and me ran every day for that fight. I'll tell you what, for that fight, I could have went 5 rounds. For the Pele fight, I got hypnotized for that fight. I was ready to go. I did everything I could do to win, period.
I was at that fight, and I think you were the only guy walking in the ring that believed you were going to win. King of the Cage was backing Pele. This was like showcase for Pele.
Oh, yeah, he was the next big thing, going to Pride next.
Yeah, he walked to the ring with a rapper, live rapping his intro song. I mean, they made a big show.
I look at Marcus and go, what's this shit?
And you were the spoiler.
So I had no idea. I knew he was tough, but I trained so hard, I didn't care who I put in front of me. I was going to beat him. That day, I was not going to be denied.
Just so kind of everybody can kind of put things in place. As Joey said, this is a showcase for Pride. Like Erik Pele, this is just his little layover in order to get to be an international superstar. He's a local, really popular tattoo artist at the time.
Yeah.
He's 340 pounds. He's a purple belt under in J-Sect with John Lewis. So, like, you got John Lewis singing his praises.
Yeah, I know John. Yeah, he had a good trainer.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But
and he boxed with Skipper Kelp.
He had a great punch. I'll tell you that. I felt it 3 times. My ear hit my shoulder.
So he's 340 pounds. He's 340. Where are you at?
He was 380 at that fight. I was 330. I was 333 that day, and he was 379.
Yeah, you guys made the cage look small that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, people were saying that he is like the best in the world as a super heavyweight. Like it was kind of just a foregone conclusion.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous. I mean, I was so nervous the day of the fight. What I made the mistake of is not telling them, the hypnotized lady, to tell me when the day of the fight you'll have a calm. I said, when the cage door shuts behind me, a calm will come over me. So all day I'm freaking out, seeing blood, seeing me getting broke up. And then when I walked down that ramp and I got in the cage and the door shut, it was like, I was a machine. My coach, even Marcus, he goes, dude, you became a different human being when that cage shut. He goes, I was talking to you and you didn't even know I was talking. Because you were just focused on. When I walked back up to the first round, when I kneed Pele in the face right at the bell and broke his nose, I busted on. They made all the blood on the videotape. But anyway, right at ding, boom, I hit him with a knee. And I walked back to my corner. I go, I'm sitting there taking a drink. I go, how am I doing? And I remember Marcus looked at me and goes, how are you doing? Look at his fucking face. And I turned around, look over across the ring. I see Pele he was fucked up. And I go,
he was done. He was done.
I just stood up like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker right now. And I mean, I didn't care about names. I just wanted to win.
Yeah, Joey, it was the first time a 340 pound or 380 pound guy was ever bullied. Bobish bullied him. He bullied him.
Yep.
I held him against the cage the whole fight.
Yep. Dan did not get the memo that he was supposed to lose.
Yeah. He tagged you with a bunch of uppercuts, a bunch of inside uppercuts.
Big hook.
Dude, Pele could
would have knocked most men would have been out. But I think that hypnotized that lady, she was the real deal. And I mean, I didn't feel anything until they stopped the fight. When Larry Landis grabbed my knee and said, stop, that's illegal. I go, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Because when Pele went down, I threw one more knee after the 6 in a row to his head. And then he went down the second round. I threw one more, and he was like 3 points down or all 4 points. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I hit him in the side of the head. But I barely hit him. But Larry grabbed my kneecap, and I thought he was going to disqualify me.
Ooh.
And I'm like, no, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Because I was used to no rules.
Yep.
You know?
Brazil.
And I was in the zone to just go until someone's done, out cold. Just keep hitting. And I didn't know he was stopping it. I didn't know they threw a towel in. I didn't know any of that stuff until it was over. But you see, I collapsed. Like I was ready to keep going. I stood right up, said I was sorry. Like I wasn't out of breath, nothing. And then as soon as they said it's over, I was like, I just collapsed. Like everything, like it was like my heart rate went through the roof. I just fell over. But like, I think it was that hypnotized thing. I was totally like a different human.
So you snapped out of it as soon as you got the win.
As soon as they said win, boom, it was over. And then I was back to, I should have done that at every fight. I probably would have been way better.
Hell yeah.
But I never trained like I did. Pele's, I can honestly say, the only guy I ever trained for. Really trained and had a training camp. Quit my job, stayed in the gym for 10 weeks hard, but 12 weeks long. But 10 weeks I would put 10 guys in my pickup truck. Push it 1,200 feet, pull it 1,200 feet, push it 1,200 feet, pull it 1,200 feet after practice until I threw up. I mean, I did everything I do to get in the best cardio condition I could get.
Well, it showed.
That was a good, God, thank you. That was a hell of a fight. I couldn't believe I won. And Ken Shamrock was in the trailer. Remember you put the belt on me that night?
Yeah.
Ken goes, dude, I don't ever want to fuck with you. And I know he's joking around, but it was cool. I was hitting the mitts in the trailer warming up, and I was in that zone, man. It was pretty cool. What we hitting him and them guys Coleman wasn't there. Shamrock and those guys, and what's his name? Pat Miletich was there watching me, and it was like, ooh. I know they
Legends.
all thought Pele was going to beat me, but they were like, well, it's going to be a different kind of fight.
Dan, I'm going to be honest. I watched this fight. Like, I was on TV, and I was just like, wow, I get to actually see Erik Pele fight a big guy. Let me see what he can do against a big guy. I thought you were getting murked. Like, I really thought,
You had only fought one time in 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah, everybody. That's why I didn't want to fight that good of a guy until I had some more fights. But Marcus goes, the only way you take that fight is you quit your job, and we train like animals, like Rocky style to the third power. And that's literally what we did. I would go to the weightlifting gym in the morning, Bally's. I would bike or elliptical and swim and run sprints on the track, plyometrics, and then lift for an hour, and then go home, go to sleep, get up and roll for an hour to 3 hours every night, and then hit the pads and everything else with everybody. I mean, everybody showed up to help me. That cops, the independence police, everybody helped Stipe. The guys that were too old for Stipe when he was in, them guys were all there with me. I mean, everybody tried to help me. It was great.
And the King of the Cage belt, I mean, King of the Cage has turned into a garage sale, but at this time, the King of the Cage title,
it was big back then.
You're on the world map. Like, Pride is taking notice.
Yes. There was like UFC, King of the Cage, and Pride. But I mean, like me and when I beat Pele, what's his name? My buddy, Quentin Rampage Jackson was a 185-pound champ at King of the Cage, the same time that I was champ.
Yeah.
Dean Lister. Was it Dean Lister heavyweight champion at that time?
Dean Lister was a champ too. Yep, he fought back
then.
He
was probably light heavyweight.
Yeah, he
185.
Was like 2002.
Oh, 185. He fought Jason Flynn that night and won by Kimura.
That was
he was 185 pounder, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Dude, that was a rematch from the Wet and Wild show, I believe.
It was.
Really?
Which Joey was also.
I was at that one too. Yes, I was.
And you got around, Joe.
I did.
Yeah, he's the town bike. Yeah,
well, Larry Landless was my coach, so.
Oh, really?
We got good treatment at King of the Cage. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Larry was he wrapped a few of my matches, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an OG.
So then I had John McCarthy. It was cool to have John McCarthy ref me when I was in UFC. Just say Big John was one of my referees.
That's
cool.
Yeah.
So Joey, you're kind of in that social circle as a lot of the King of the Cage people. Bobish beats the hometown hero. Do you think they wanted to keep the belt around him?
No. I think they were pissed off at him. I mean, he upset their plans. He was going to get a cut of Pele's purse in Pride, and he was banking on it. So, yeah, King of the Cage was pretty pissed off at Dan about this point.
Yeah.
Terry had me on – he put me on, what, like 9 billboards going to Saboba Casino?
Well, you look like a big, scary guy. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Right.
Good on a
poster.
He
just used my image. But he did take me to Cabo fishing for 5 days for free. That was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He hit me and, Eddie DeLuca. You know Eddie?
You talking about DeLuca's
Herring's manager, Eddie DeLuca?
Yeah, he was like
he was with me when
Combat.
I fought. Yeah,
something like that.
He was in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Eddie's only got one fight, but he had a real big reputation.
No, Eddie didn't fight. He was a military guy.
He had one fight.
Maybe.
He had one fight.
Caveman days.
He had like a huge reputation for a guy with one fight. Yeah, I remember Eddie. I knew who he was.
He stayed at my house in Maple Heights, and he come up
was
here
he a good
with
dude?
me. Great. I love Eddie.
Okay.
Great guy. Honest
big
man.
reputation. Big reputation.
Took me to his mines in New Mexico. I got pictures going through all these mines, digging out stalactites and fool's gold and all kind of crap. But he's a nice man. He's a good dude. Yeah, I took him when I fought Mark Hunt, when I fought Igor Vachanchyn, when I fought Gary Goodrich, when I fought in Cleveland and Warpath. Eddie was there with me.
You beat Erik Pele.
Mm-hmm.
They throw Mike Kyle in against you.
That filthy asshole.
Dude, filthy fighter.
Yeah, he's a cheating. I gave him his first loss though. Showed him the light.
Yeah, he gave you a
Kyle was
thumb to the
undefeated
eye.
till he fought me.
Gave you a thumb to the eye, though.
Kyle would punch me, and then he would throw his finger straight out my face. And if you watch that fight in slow-mo, he had a fast jab, but he
Yeah.
would tap and then fingers, fingers, tap, fingers, fingers, tap, and I couldn't see. He was poking my eyeballs out. I mean, I had all, like, I'm telling you, 20 some little cuts. And someone, the kids backstage told me his coach, that little lion, oh, God, that guy was a piece of work. Mike Kyle's coach, a little bald-headed guy with the evil-looking mustache, like, it was the guy who tied him on the tracks, on
Yeah.
the train tracks.
Joey, who was it?
He had a
Is
fight in Boise, Idaho, and I fought for him, and I beat Dan Evanson, and he threw the fight, and he goes, "You remember me?" He goes, "I thought Evanson would have beat you tonight. That's why I picked him." And I'm like, "Well, you lost again."
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know
and
who
that
that
guy
is.
hated me because I beat Kyle.
Well, here, let's talk about like Kyle in general. Like, if you look at his pedigree, Craig Kukuk is one of his jiu-jitsu guys who spoke very highly of him.
Yeah,
He had a pretty good pedigree, an absolute athlete. Um, it was almost like, I'm not going to say he fought scared, because that's not the right way
who,
of
Kyle?
phrasing it. Kyle, because what he would do is he would put his chin back and use his reach. It was like he didn't want to get, he
Yeah,
wouldn't commit to the exchange, but he
he
would
was
use his reach.
285 when I fought him. He was, he's beefed up. But I mean, yeah, he
He's a
was
DJ. He's a DJ now.
timid or whatever. Like, he talked all that stuff in the beginning, but as soon as I took all that beating and I hit him like what, 8, 9 times and he quit, scream and stop. I was so upset. I'm like, these guys beat the hell out of me, and as soon as they get a little bit, they quit. Take some more punishment, man. Do what I do. Have some heart. But as soon as they can give it all day, most guys, but once they start taking it, they quit. And that's the
His,
truth.
his corner was really upset with you.
I wanted to, that guy was trying to twist my toes in the ring or in grab. He was screaming. I remember him screaming and yelling at me in the cage. And Marcus was going to beat the crap out of the guy after the fight. It was great.
mm,
It was the guy was. I remember when I went to Boise, Idaho. Marcus goes, "Do you remember that guy with the bald head?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "That's Kyle's old. That's his coach." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me!" Because I knew that guy was just bad news. I go, "He's running this show. We'll never get paid."
Yeah. Yeah,
But
Jimmy
anyway, yeah,
Ambriz. So Jimmy, when you fought Jimmy Ambriz, that was August 2nd,
that's when
2002.
I wasn't supposed to fight.
Yeah,
And I
he's 5-0, 322 pounds, 24 years old,
and they
and
told me he can't take a punch if you hit him. He blinks and he hates getting hit. I'm like, okay, because they knew I didn't train. They knew I just lost my daughter, so I needed more money for a lawyer. And that's when I was supposed to go sign autographs with Severn and just party. So I wasn't training at all. That's where I trained for Kyle hard, but not as hard as I did for Pele. But I was in shape, ready to go. When I fought um, Jimmy
Ambriz.
Ambriz, I did
Ambriz.
not train a day. I was drinking and having a good time, and we weren't rolling nothing. I haven't trained for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then I fought him. And
Yeah,
they
he
told me
had
though, if you hit him once, he'll quit. And he catches me with a hook right in the beginning of the fight.
dude, you guys both had the same game plan. Get that first punch in,
He
and
he caught me. It's the first time I've been knocked out.
yeah,
I woke up with
that's
him punching me in the face.
that's how I kind of describe that fight to people. It's like, as soon as that bell rang, you guys were both trying to get that first punch in, and he kind of got there first.
Well, that's the second fight. I had my wife with me now, but we just met, Nicole. She was a two-time Olympian in volleyball. But anyway, she's another great athlete. She's with me, and I told her, I go, this is stupid. I should have never took this fight for money. What a mistake. I was doing everything right. Marcus goes, let's just cancel it. Just say you got hurt backstage, something. You're not mentally ready to go in there. And Don Fry's like, just go in there and fight, buddy. Just go in there and kick his ass. You're a tough
Sounds
guy.
like fun.
Rah. Yeah. And I'm like, dude,
You
I'm a
could,
mental midget right now. All I got is my little 3-year-old, 2-year-old daughter on my mind. That's all that's on my brain. And I went in there and I go, that's the second fight. I said it to Mark Kerr. I told Marcus, I'm going to lose the belt right here. I went in and got caught within 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was quick.
I went 1, 2, crack, and I woke up at 40 seconds or 35 seconds getting punched in the face.
He had Todd Medina in his corner.
Yeah.
Pretty respected guy, from back in the day.
I know who he is, yeah. I don't know him, but I know who he was.
All right, so we've done quite a few interviews, and in the past, John Fitch, who fought on this next card, September 6, 2003, he fought on the X1 event
in Japan.
And what he described was it's in a high school auditorium. There's 0 people there, and there's a bunch of fixed fights on the card.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was fixed. It was a shit show.
How did you get connected with them?
How did I get connected with them?
Is it Phyllis Lee?
No, I didn't know her. I think Severn or Becky Levi.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those two. That's who got me, because I lost my belt. No. I lost my belt to Ambriz, and then Don Fry felt bad. He calls me up and goes, "Hey, you ever hear of pro wrestling?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love it. I watched it my whole life with my dad." He goes, "You're going to be my tag team partner." And I went to his house, stayed for a couple of weeks. I thought we were going to learn how to do pro wrestling. He never did a thing with me, drank beer, showed me how to shoe his horse. And I stayed with him and Molly and his kid at his house, and we just drank a few beers and went to Japan. And we trained I never went to school for pro wrestling, never trained a day. We walked through the match 2 days in a row with the Japanese guys, who was Hiroshi Hase and Kensei Sasaki. Was all the Road Warrior when Hawk had his heart attack. He was the other Road Warrior. But anyway, I know it's fake. But anyway, Fry got me my first, and it was $5,000 cash for 4 minutes worth of work.
Nice.
But I tore my Achilles partially off in that pro wrestling match. Because the 2 guys picked me up to power bomb me. And in practice, they did it nice and slow, held me up, and then dropped me. In the match, and I didn't get my feet over, and my heel hit. But they respected me because I got up on one leg, and I did my double clothesline bit. I finished the match the way they said it was, and they gave me props for not quitting because I was hurt. And I got and finished the match, and I was the first American to get a major contract in pro wrestling by a decent company that never went to school to learn how to fall, throw a fake punch, nothing. I never
Bart
did
Vale
any
could have.
stuff.
Yeah, honestly, we kind of dumped on Bart Vale. He could have helped with that. Yeah, the one thing he could have taught you was that.
Yeah, he didn't teach me anything. He was a very nice guy. I got along with him just fine, but I wanted to roll and learn something. And so when I got these good guys in there, they're like, I don't want to say they're scared of me, but they didn't want to get in the ring with me or get on the mat and roll. And I just thought, let's wrestle. I wasn't caring who was going to win, or I just tap. It's called submissions. Or you get caught, you tap. Marcus would tap me all the time. He'd catch me in a choke, a heel lock, something all the time, but that's how you learn. He was 180 some pounds. It was just, let's go try different stuff. But no one would roll with me. None of the guys had a name.
So you're headlining against Basil Castro, who's 0-0.
That was just my buddy I brought with me.
That's what I was going to ask.
The Travis Fulton routine.
Yeah. Well, except
I go, Basil, you're going to make some money. Except you punch me, I'm going to punch you. And he goes, how much? I go, I don't know. I can pay you like $2,000-3,000. And it's a stupid shit show in Japan. I thought it was pro wrestling, but a strong style pro wrestling match. And they go, no, fight. I'm like, this is not a fight. This is a joke. I can't believe that's on my record. It wasn't even a show. That show was so non-professional. Well, no weigh-ins, no nothing.
How did they pay everybody? Where was their money?
Cash. Mafia. Yakuza. They pay for everything over there. I love it.
Did you have any experiences with the Yakuza?
Oh my God, hundreds. I used to get drunk with them all the time. Go out, party, have fun. They love pro wrestlers and then pro fighting too. But I'm in Hiroshima. Real quick story. I was with Coleman and Randleman. I'm with all the Japanese stars, and we go to dinner we pro wrestled, the show pay-per-view in Hiroshima. Well, I power bombed Hirohase. He's like Ric Flair of Japan, 3 belts,
Right.
all that stuff. I pick him up, slam him, and I get up on the rope. I go, just like Hiroshima, joking around, being the heel, just being the bad guy. Man, they're a quiet crowd, right? They came to life, throwing everything at me, and they go, good job, good, be the heel, very good job. So afterwards, we go to dinner, and we're with this Yakuza guys I didn't know. I knew the kid, the man, not kid, 30-some-year-old guy singing karaoke. He asked me why I wanted him to sing. I'm like, don't ask. I'm nobody. Ask Coleman. Well, he goes, no, I want to sing the Bobish because maybe you died tonight. I go, what? And he goes, my father say most men he shoot with 38. Tonight, you maybe 44. And I looked at Coleman. I go, check. We'll take the check. And I got out of
Jesus.
there. Yeah, it was for real. It was no joking around. They all had their pinkies cut off and the whole 9 yards. It's the real deal. I mean,
Wow.
I went out with them all the time, but in different towns, in Osaka, in Nagoya, we party our butts off. It was fun. I mean, but that night, yeah, I was thinking, they're not joking. They're, why you say, he goes, why you, the old man said in Japanese, and that his son said, my father say, why you say just like Hiroshima? I go, it was just being the bad guy. I power bombed the guy, like boom. He goes, many his family, my family, die Hiroshima. I'm like, dude, it was like 100 years ago. What are we talking about? I was just joking around. I didn't mean anything by it. Being the heel in fake pro wrestling, entertainment. Wasn't in a pride ring saying
Yeah, it's
that.
different. Yeah, it's
They take
different.
that shit
Anyway,
seriously.
oh yeah, it's you're trying to rib the crowd and get them
Right.
mad. And in Japan, they're like, you could slam a guy through the wall, and they go, ooh, 50,000 people, you're a pin drop. But when I did that, the crowd came to life. But anyway, he goes, man, his family died, all this stuff. And I was like, sorry, I didn't mean anything by that. I was just trying to get the crowd into the show. And the owners of the show loved me for saying that, said I was crazy. And even the Japanese guy, why you say Hiroshima? You crazy? I'm like, it just came to me. I don't know. I
Yeah,
sorry.
just trying to be rude. I'm
Didn't mean nothing
trying
by it, dude. I was trying
to
to
be
be
rude.
the
Yeah,
heel, the bad
yeah,
guy.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
I
yeah,
succeeded
yeah,
that night.
Did you ever
Yeah.
do it again?
Hell no.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I wrestled, but I never said that again.
No, no.
Never. That one time was a one-off.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So you signed a Pride contract. I'm assuming in that September 6th event,
Okay.
they were
Here's
probably
the
there.
never signed a contract until Gary Goodrich poked my eyeball out.
Yeah.
Cheated. Piece of shit. And it pissed me off. Even Coleman said after the fight, why would you do that to Bobish? Because I went to Brazil the second time in '97. Gary Goodrich was there. We wrestled together. We were cool. I thought we were friends. He even came out and cornered me when I fought Barreto. You see Gary Goodrich jump in the ring after I give up after Barreto got the triangle on me. Who's the first person in the ring? Gary Goodrich.
Gary Goodrich. Yeah.
But when we fought each other, I think when we wrestled in Brazil years ago, I would throw him around like a rag doll. I was really much stronger than him, and I was better with submissions and stuff. Whatever. I could throw him around. So when we fought, he had Erickson and Coleman, all this stuff, and
It's
I trained for that fight.
yeah.
I was there to win.
He had Erickson and Coleman in his corner, and it was like the Ohio boy,
My
Coleman.
buddy, yeah, my buddy.
Was
Stuck
there an
it in
issue
my.
between you two?
We were never tight. We just hung out and we partied and had fun together. But I think Goodrich made the money in Pride, so he was going to back the guy who was making the money in Pride, the gatekeeper of Pride,
Right.
Gary Goodrich. And then when they said I was fighting Goodrich, and no Coleman didn't say beat him, you're in. No one came to me, gave me any heads up, no nothing. And I was out of shape again, but I started training. That's when I met DeLuca and blah blah blah. Started getting in shape. Me and Marcus sort of had a falling out here and there. That's why Marcus was never in my corner again. Only a couple times after all those years later. I mean, I love the guy to death, but we just had a little issue. But anyway, um, when I was there fighting it just he poked my eyeball. I go to the referee, is my eye there? And he goes, fight. I'm like, what? I just covered up. He punches me. They said, stop, KO. Gary Roach's cancer. I go, I'm not hurt. You can
Well,
see it on the video. I go, I'm not
yeah,
hurt. Is my eye there?
I,
Is my eye
all
there?
right, I'm going to tell you what's going on. Like, because I've watched this several times.
Yeah.
You get cracked once, and I mean,
You have to watch it in slow-mo to see the
okay,
finger go in my eye.
you get cracked illegally once, but like you don't accept
React to it.
well, you don't accept it. You're like, I'm working through this. Like you don't accept the foul, you don't react to it. So you don't
see
do
me,
it.
as soon as he hit me, I kept coming at him and I grabbed my eyelid and I'm like pulling. I thought it was just under my eye,
Yep.
but it wasn't. And then when I watched the fight the next morning with the owner, Saki Kabara, because he thought I was a complete puss, I just gave up. I'm like, my eyeball's completely blood red, no white, no brown, no black pupil, maroon. I go, look at my eye. He goes, yeah, but maybe glove catch. I go, no, no, no. His finger went through my head, blew my orbit. When I got home, all this was blown out, and they put me on a plane the next day to fly home.
Oh,
I could have
Jesus.
died on the plane if I had a hemorrhage or something. But anyway, I'm in his room. I watch it. I didn't see the poke. Freaked me the fuck out. I'm like, what do you? Whoa. So I go, wait a minute, give me that remote. He goes, no problem. We watched many times, no poke. And I hit, as soon as they go fight, I hit slow-mo. I push pause. And then as I put frame by frame, as I'm coming in with my step jab, he knew I had the step jab, and he goes clunk, and his thumb through my, what was this eye? Through my eye, thumb deep. I mean, and pulled down and through the hook. I was like, I mean, it just, and then my sister has a glass eye. She had cancer and she was two. That same eye that she has missing, I've gotten poked in like 4 different fights. The same, it's a God thing. I don't know. Like, am I gonna lose the same eye as my sister? But anyway, he poked my eye. I thought I lost my eye. I couldn't take my shoe. Who took my shoes off in the locker room? Mark Coleman. I couldn't bend over to untie my shoes because I felt like my eyeballs gonna roll out of my head. And Jerry wouldn't come talk to me. He wouldn't say sorry, nothing. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I was at this fight actually. It's the one time I went to Japan for a fight, and I remember being so disappointed because I thought they weren't going to bring you back. So I'm glad that they kept you on. But man, I thought that was going to be a great fight. I really thought it was going to be.
Well, they weren't going to bring me back until I was Sakibar, and I showed him. Look, and you see him right, like 100% on purpose, stiff arm my eye, and that's what his karate thing. When he, in fact, all UFC days, it was. Whatever his name was, karate thing was, it was eye gouge, rip and tear. That was what they did.
The Cook Soul One or something like that.
Yeah, it was all about gouging the eyes and blah blah blah. Hi, John. My son John is here.
Okay.
And he's 13, wrestling.
That's good.
Say hi.
Let's get John in here. What's up, dude?
Hi. Hey, John.
I got 4 kids. Yeah, he wrestles. He wrestles heavyweight right now.
That's it.
But anyway, he poked my eye, but I showed Sakibar, and they gave me 2 more fights. Never signed a contract.
Well, here's the thing. Like, and you obviously you fought 2 more times, but they like Bas Rutten went out of his way to dump on you. Like Mario Rinaldi, they kind of dumped on you. Oh, a broken orbit, huge. A broken orbit. Like they were like anticipating, like setting up.
Pissed me off, like I was a puss. I'm like, no. You guys don't even know what you're freaking talking about.
Well, here. So they really did, and it was before you go out there. They laid it out like this guy's a joke, and your opponent. If you're going to gamble on calling somebody a joke, you got if they're fighting Igor Vovchanchyn, it's a solid bet. That is a solid bet because Vovchanchyn is arguably one of the most durable fighters ever to walk this planet.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a hell of a fight, bro. You won the first round.
I beat the hell out of him for the first round.
Dude, you beat the shit out of him.
And that was the most out of shape I've ever been for a fight in my life. I was 381 pounds. They had to put me on 2 scales to weigh me in. Wow. I was pro wrestling. I said, I don't want to fight nobody. I'm out of shape. I need to train. You guys can't just tell me I'm fighting next week. And that's what they did. And they go, you fight. And it was 9 days later, I was in a ring against Igor. And they just used me as just want to get the 2 fights out the thing. I want to beat somebody, though. That's what I want. They said, you fight Mark Hunt. I'm like, okay, I'm not pro wrestling. And I went home. And I trained for like 6 weeks really hard. but only or 5 weeks. I only had 5 weeks. I actually trained like 4 weeks because 1 week we flew there. And you're there 5 days early.
There's something in between that's real interesting. In March of 2004, you were supposed to fight in South Korea, Ultra FC. Dan Severn was the main event, and
I never heard of it.
I got you. They
never told me.
You're on their press release,
but they never told me.
Well, here. So Dan,
I never says, got it. You're going to fight in South Korea one time.
Yeah,
I never heard
so he just 1 week prior, he decides right on his way to the airport, he decides to change the terms on the contract, and they canceled the entire event. So maybe Dan did. I mean, is Dan Severn like a really good friend of yours?
He may have called me, said, "Do you want to fight in South Korea?" I would have said yes in a second.
Okay.
So maybe he did mention it to me, dude.
Here. Is Dan Severn a good friend of yours?
I love him. I like him. He's a good man. I mean, he was cool with me, always up, straightforward, didn't bullshit me at all.
But can we agree that Dan is also prone to shenanigans?
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it comes to,
you have to be blind.
Okay, right. So
I get it.
It's entirely possible. Like, he knew you'd take a last minute fight, and it was, let me hijack this guy. If I get the money, we'll do it. If not, the whole thing gets canceled. Okay.
You knew I'd fight for next to nothing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to fight, and I'll take the money.
Right.
But he knew I wasn't a worker. He knew I wanted to really fight. But I was crazy. I would fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. I think I proved that with my career and not training and fighting Igor, Mark Hunt, you name it. I fought them, when they asked me.
So with Mark Hunt, it's October 31st, 2004, Pride 28. 6 minutes, 23 seconds was the total time of the fight. Dude, that was arguably one of your best performances.
Yeah, I was totally calm. Everything was cool until I stood up.
You were 35 pounds down. 35 pounds down.
I trained my butt off.
You had Heath Herring and DeLuca in your corner. Did you train with Heath Herring?
No, he was just backstage. With Eddie DeLuca was with Heath, and Eddie's with me. And I go, he goes, all right, Heath walk out with us? I'm like, yeah, I love Heath, you're cool. Come on, let's go, dude. And Josh Barnett was with me that night.
Yeah.
In my corner.
Dude,
he wasn't with me. Like, he walked out with me. They didn't train with me, nothing.
Hunt's a bad boy.
Tough head. I need him in the head. I had to go to the hospital to get x-rays of my knees. I thought I broke my kneecap.
You cracked him with about 10 knees. Like, here, just so everyone kind of understands.
10 that caught home hard. I did 30-some knees with 10.
30, a good solid.
Hit their mark.
Okay, that's fair. So you get the takedown. Hunt is kind of like turtled, belly down, turtled.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, it's the worst.
Face lock. I had him in the face crank when he's on his belly. I almost caught that thing, man. He was ready to tap. See his hand come up. I pulled his neck back. I was like, ooh, I almost had a submission. Woo-hoo.
Worst position you can be in if you've got a solid wrestler on top of you, which obviously you check those boxes.
If that had been in a cage, I wouldn't have lost that fight.
He was dead in a cage.
Yeah. Yes. But he didn't know nothing yet. He's a great fighter, kickboxer. Years later, he was another animal, getting out from underneath you and stuff.
But his knees, he hit you with some knees that were.
Yeah, you see the first knee of the fight, he split me open. I got 7 in and 8 out after the fight, stitches.
Pretty frightening.
I didn't know I was even bleeding when they stopped it. And they go, we stopped fight. I go, what? You go, stop, bleed. I go, no, please, God, don't stop the fight. I trained, I'm ready. Let me fight. And the doctor goes, you fight? I go, let it bleed. Let me fight. And that's when they let me walk over there and start fighting again.
Dude, it's like you always learn about somebody like in a loss.
Yeah.
Lots of people win.
Right.
We're going to get to know you when we see, what kind of nail you are. And dude, you want to learn about Dan Bobish? That's the fight you want to watch.
Yeah. I gave Mark Hunt a hug afterwards. He's like, dude, you fucking beat the shit out of me. Your corner was saying, breathe, breathe, breathe. And I remember I was like, no, big guy, keep kneeing me, keep hitting me, get tired, get tired. I'm like, you actually said that. He wanted me to keep going so I would gas out. He has they call him Iron Head for a reason. He was tough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tough.
Yeah, he might even do bare knuckle now.
Is he?
He's
I would
wanting to fight.
love to see him hit somebody with those hands.
I know.
Fuck. That hook, you're going Betty bye-bye land. He just grazed my jaw, and I was on Clear Street. No offense.
And no, Joey, don't take offense to that.
Oh, fuck you.
But yeah, I was gassed out when we stood up, but when he caught me, they were like, "You didn't get hit." I'm like, "If you watch it, you see my whole jawbone move.
And
He
the
just
kick to the
grazed my
body.
jaw, and
That kick to the body too.
my equilibrium was off, and he kicked my liver, and whenever I stood up, and whoop, I was like, "Ah, the fuck was that?" Held down. He went to kick me in the head. I'm like, the referee's there, thank God.
Yeah.
He stopped it. But they go, even when I fought Igor Vujicic, and they said, "You stop, watch the end of that fight." I went, "No." My head shakes no. When Igor's punching me on top of me, nothing hurt. I just couldn't breathe. He
Yeah.
wasn't hurting me, punching me at all.
Yeah.
The
When
one
you
to the
get
face when we were standing up hurt the hell out of me. But when the ground hit me in the body, I was totally gassed out. They didn't want me to get back up and go to third round because I bet I would have got a wind and put them back on the ground and rode them out and beat them up. So Igor could not lose to me. They didn't want that at all. And they
yeah.
were shitting themselves with Mark Hunt losing to me. Just like Terry Trebilcock didn't want me to win, Pride did not want me to win. Do you know I was the lowest paid American in Pride? I found that out later. The lowest paid American before me was 60,000 a show. I got 25.
Oh.
Isn't that bullshit? The lowest ever was 60 grand to fight in Pride. When they said 25 to you, I'm like, huh, who do I got to
Oh my
fight?
God,
Because
dude.
the most I ever made was 5 to show up for a fight.
They gave you Goodrich, Vovchenchen, and Hunt. Talk
Yeah,
about
for 75 grand.
Bangers.
Almost lost an eye. And Igor just had I was fine after Igor. But then Mark Hunt, I was fine too. I just had a swollen knee. Couldn't walk too well. It was all his head on my kneecap. Yeah. I mean, I did good, guys. If I'd have been in shape, it'd have been another career. If I had, someone that grabbed me and said, "Let's go, you're not signing that contract or going to fight till you're in shape." Holy shit, would I have been an animal. But I never had that. No one could control me like that.
Well, then you meet up with Corey Fisher.
Yeah.
So
What a piece of work that guy is.
Interesting guy. So
Yeah.
I think either this event
Butterbeans butt kisser. Yeah, I know who he is.
I think either this was my first King of the Cage event or there was one prior, but it was right around this time I go and see King of the Cage because it was in Ohio. Like there was never in Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin. You had to go to Ohio to see it. And Corey Fisher was I guess their liaison.
I don't know what he was, but he finagled his way in there somehow. It's all because of Butterbean. If he didn't have Butterbean with him, or no Butterbean, he would have never got nothing. But Terry wanted Butterbean to fight on the card, so he did anything that Corey wanted. Let Corey act like he was the man. He was never nothing there.
Yeah, I always you started the conversation with saying that Corey was an interesting guy. Now, I don't know anybody that Corey ripped off personally.
No, I got along with him just fine.
But everybody would say, you got to watch him, you got to watch him, you got to watch him.
Yeah.
But he paid everybody.
He was a typical manager car salesman.
I agree.
Dude, I can get you whatever you want. Dude, I can do it. Don't worry about it, buddy. I got you.
And he wasn't he wasn't one of us. Like
you didn't get anything. Where's my fucking money? What are you talking about? You got me nothing. Terry got me this fight in Cleveland. You didn't get it, Corey. I was supposed to fight Butterbean, and then Butterbean was going to fight Dan Severn. And I'm like, when we had the Cleveland show, the King of the Cage downtown Cleveland, I should have been the main event in that damn thing, not the Cleveland Browns. That was a joke.
So with Corey, where there was a lot of rub against him was he wasn't one of us. He wasn't one of the guys that would be a part of the scene. Not at all. He just kind of came in as an outsider and dictated what people were going to do without any prior experience.
Yep. I know he is.
Yeah, it's weird. You beat Ruben Villarreal in 55 seconds. Dude, you
Jerry was
sold.
really mad at me. I broke his jaw
Yeah,
with
Ruben
elbows.
Villarreal. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Warpath. The
Yeah,
guy who
Yeah.
fought Don Fry later.
You sold a
He
lot
was
of
a
tickets
great
that night.
he was a great guy, Warpath. Took pictures with his kids. I gave him gloves. He was so nice. But yeah, I sold a shitload of tickets. I sold half the front row, 90% of the front row seats I sold.
Yeah. Joey, guess who's in this guy's corner?
For this one,
Yeah.
Severn.
No. Giant Silva,
No way.
the
Mm-hmm.
pro wrestler. What was that
I
all
asked him,
about?
I said, hey, you want to come to my house? I'm going to fight. Come to Cleveland, dude. He goes, maybe you get me a fight? I'm like, yeah, sure. And Terry's like, bring him in. And he's a freak, everybody wanted to see
Yeah.
him. I'm like, come on, dude, come out with me. He stayed at my house.
Where'd you meet him?
Pro wrestling in Japan.
Oh,
Makes sense. He's like 7'5".
7'4".
Yeah.
He's huge. Yeah,
But he
he's
was,
a
if he
giant human
grabbed
being.
your wrist, forget about it. He was like, and you had to I had to put my knee on his arm to get away from him. But his ankles are about that big.
Mm.
He was a really nice guy, but he'd never take his pants off in the dressing room or shower or anything. Like he wore his gimmick. He would get dressed and like by himself. I guess his legs were really beat up, a lot of surgeries and stuff. But he had really skinny legs, and from his waist up, he looked like a freaking Sasquatch. He was huge, but not built, just a big freaking monster of a man.
Mhm.
And he has strong grip. But other than that, I wrestled with him and did submissions with him like 3 or 4 times. He was too nice. I put my elbow on his chest. He's, oh, easy, big guy, easy, big guy. Maybe we go to Fridays, have shrimps. He would eat 4 shrimp dinners at TGI Fridays in Japan. 4 dinners worth of shrimp. He'd eat them like it was dog shit, like it was nothing. But he didn't drink booze or nothing. He just ate his food and went to his room. He played on the '84 Olympic team for Brazil basketball. He was actually on an Olympic team for Brazil in basketball.
Where was he from?
Brazil.
He's actually Brazilian? Okay.
Yeah, 100% Brazilian.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
The next King of the Cage I see you at, you got Joey Smith, King of the Cage
Oh, that little
64.
show. Yeah.
Rich Franklin is a referee.
Yeah. Coleman brought it. Coleman and what's his name, the tall guy, Wes
Wes
Sims.
Sims.
Please don't hurt Joe. He agreed to fight you. We can't believe he even agreed to fight you because he couldn't find no one to fight me for no money. Because they wouldn't pay anything. I go, I made 25 grand on selling tickets. I mean, I sold all the tickets to the almost 90%, no, probably 70% of the tickets to the show. I was selling the front rows. They'd have 36 tables. I would take 25 to 30 tables, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. And I would, whatever I sold, I get a percentage of. But that kid, I felt terrible for him. He didn't want to be in the ring with me.
Dude, 21 seconds. I mean, you certainly.
It was no fixed fight though, nothing like that. I tried to hurt
No,
him.
oh no.
I really tried to hurt him.
Wow, I'd say you did. I think you really
Well, yeah,
did.
but I mean, I
You
was
did
trying to
hurt him.
end him. Let's put it that way. I was, in front of my hometown crowd. You better have a turtle shell for a back of the head because I'm coming. Don't turn over.
Do you remember the announcer that night, Big Papa Schnacky?
Yes, I do. Yep.
That was my
I
guy.
don't know
man.
him, but I know he was. He sounded pretty good.
Yeah, that was my guy, dude. I was just thinking about him
Really?
the other day. Yeah, dude. I drove him to that show, I believe. Yeah.
No kidding. That's where the cage was up on a stage, right? At the
Yes.
Cleveland Agora.
Yeah.
Or Cleveland, whatever, downtown. The Cleveland House of Blues or whatever. Yeah. Half of it's hanging off the stage. Yeah.
Yeah. The Gracie versus Hammer House fights March 3rd, 2006.
What a mistake that was, Ben Rothwell.
You know what, though? I think it was just a kind of total shit show from beginning to end on the
Should have never
administrative
been that
side.
show. I didn't train a day. I was going to, I had a booth at the Ultimate, at the Arnold Classic. I had a booth with Ultimate. It's called something with oxygen for getting Endurance, obviously, it doesn't work. But anyway, they had a stand up cut out of me in my red, white, and blue trunks and all that stuff flexing. And so I had that there and I had my own booth, but I was supposed to go just be there and get $1,000 and sign autographs. And then Coleman calls, hey, dude, you want to fight? I can probably get you 10 grand. And I'm like, so he probably got 10 or 20 grand and I got 10 grand. But anyway, I ended up fighting. I don't know who got what. I just said, yeah, I'll fight. Who am I fighting? They go, Ben Rothwell. The guy from the IFL who's tough bastard? Yeah, great. I haven't trained a day. Great. Another loss coming. Thanks. And that's how I fought. Went in there and fought him. But I was winning. I mean, took him down, beat him up for a little bit, but never scored anything big on him.
Yeah. But Rothwell, I mean, he's the bare knuckle fighting championship heavyweight champion right now.
Is he?
Yeah, dude. He just
I don't watch it anymore. Since I need a hip surgery and stuff, dude, I've been so far removed from MMA.
It's bare knuckle. It's boxing. It's boxing.
I know that. I watch it.
Dude.
I didn't know. I haven't. No kidding.
Yeah, he's
not all there mentally. He seems like he's off his rocker, man. He's a really nice kid to me. After the fight, he come to my hotel room, wanted to sit in there with me and talk. I'm like, I really don't feel like sitting here and bullshit with a guy who just beat me.
He's a historian type. Yeah, no, Rothwell is he's a very large human being. Yeah, real large human being, that's for sure.
Yeah. He's a big guy. He's got a hell of a chin. He can box for a big guy. He reminds me of the heavyweight boxer. What's his name? The heavyweight from Ireland or whatever.
Tyson Fury.
Yes. He reminds me of someone like that. He can box, man.
Yeah. You go through Chris Clark real quick, and then you wind up over at NAAFS. Greg Kalikas is the promoter. The NAA.
He got me.
What?
He robbed me good. Yeah. He got me for thousands. We did a couple shows, rocking on the river, all that stuff. I was helping be a promoter with him. Ended a show. We need $16,000. I went to my buddy and got a check in the middle of the night at like 4 a.m. for $8,000 to him and $8,000 from me to pay off the tab that he told me we owed. But I never got a bill. I never saw nothing. I just trusted it because I'm a man. You shake my hand and tell me I'm going to believe you. Then I found out that he made like 30 grand on that show.
Oh.
Yeah, I wanted to crush his windpipe with my boot heel. And then he becomes Stipe's manager down the road. I could not believe that rat became Stipe's manager.
Is Greg Bell Stipe's manager as well?
I don't know who is now, but I know for a little bit in the beginning.
No, back then it was him, because I know Greg.
I don't know who
bought NAAFS eventually.
I just know Greg Kalikas was. When I heard that, I about fell out of my truck. That Kalikas was managing Stipe. I'm like, what? But somebody worked finagle's way into strong style with Marcus, and instead of putting on shows all the time, he was, being a manager. And he was, I never met a manager that was really 100% honest with the money and stuff. I know they're out there, but I never came across one with me. I wish I could have. You got to sign a real contract, get a real lawyer, and have some brains, Bobish.
Yeah, you beat Eric Knox by KO 101. You beat Matt Ekro in 31 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Dan Evanson in 1:25.
That's Kyle's coach that was at that fight in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
I gave Evanson his first loss, too, and he went on to the UFC, didn't he? He fought in the UFC?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did.
Did he? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
He fought in the UFC or he fought in Pride, but I saw him fighting in a big show afterwards. I'm like a couple years later, I'm like, I beat that guy. I can't believe he's there.
Joey, the one thing that you and I really like to talk about is kind of like the mafia stuff on the independent grind. And it's like, all right, Japan, we've done some incredible work in regards to Holland.
I know a bunch of Italian guys here in Cleveland I'm friends with.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
I used to play bocce ball. My mom's 100% Italian.
Really? I knew I liked something about you.
Lorenzi and Longo. Yep.
So
my grandpa Orlando would get picked up by a limousine once a month by the men in tuxedos when I was a kid. They'd take him out, have dinner, and bring him back.
If I were to kind of have one of our shortcomings as a podcast in regards to the independent grind, what was taking place with the bikers in Canada at one point. It wasn't like a long period, but it absolutely was mobbed up. Hardcore Fighting Championship. You on 10 days' notice, you go out to Alberta, Canada, and you fight Alexander Emelianenko.
What a mistake that was.
So
told my wife, I go, I should not take this fight. But it was 15 grand a show, 10 grand, then 15, then 20. And I said, yes. Didn't train a day. And I should have said, I'm not fighting.
Let's kind of put this in a proper context. We're in Alberta, Canada. Not a lot of Russians there. There's not a lot of Russians living in Canada, not a lot of Russian immigrants.
Right.
We fly in a guy from the United States to fight a guy from St. Petersburg, Russia.
Right. I know.
That's a shitload of money.
I think they had someone else fighting him and they backed out and they called me last minute because I only had like 15 days notice.
Well, Gegard Masasi was on the undercard.
Yeah.
Like,
but someone else was supposed to fight Emelianenko.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I forget who it was. And they had no one to fight him. And I go, I'm not fighting that guy. I want to train. I'll fight him. If you give me 8 to 12 weeks, I'll fight him. And then he kept upping the money.
Dude, Fedor was there.
Yeah, I was shaking hands with him and his brother backstage and talking. We, in the hotel before the fight. I go, best man win, no hard feelings, brother. Yeah, all right, cool. I didn't know him from Adam. I knew Fedor and Alexander from Pride. I've met him over there too. And I remember Fedor and his brother Emily taking pictures with me. I was in good shape, but I wasn't in fight shape. I was just in bodybuilder, lifting weight shape.
Wow. Dude.
Yeah. So Alexander was a decent guy in person because there's a lot of rumors about his.
Oh, he's a mob guy. He's cool as shit. I mean, I get along with those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the HAs here in Cleveland are really nice friends of mine. Hell's Angels,
I like
good
them all.
guys.
They're all good guys.
I hung out at the clubhouse down in Cleveland. Always go down there and party with them.
Stand
never rode a
up,
motorcycle
guys.
in my life. I was the only guy down there. Never rode a motorcycle.
Whatever they say bad about them, those people are lying.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Agreed.
Damn right they're lying.
Sons of bitches.
My boy Scotty Stage, man. What's up, Scotty? If you're going to watch this, that's my buddy.
So Alexander Emelianenko, it had been surreal. The standing, I mean, MMA creates strange bedfellows. Like you got you got a mobbed up guy out of St. Petersburg in Alberta, Canada, against the bull Dan Bobish. I mean,
yeah, it was crazy. I didn't know the promoters. There was no weigh-ins. There was no press conference. It looked like a really nice show on pay-per-view, but behind the scenes, it was like, okay, you're fighting in 15 minutes. That's all I heard. There was nothing,
Was it a big arena? I mean, did they sell a lot of tickets?
Yeah, it was a big show. It was a big place, but it wasn't
great
sold
production
out or nothing.
Great production.
There was about 20,000 people there, probably, maybe more.
Keith Crawford was the promoter.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know it. I didn't know who the promoter was.
Who lined this fight up for you?
Who was calling me? I can't even, to be honest with you, I can't even remember to tell you who was calling me, take this fight, just go fight him. I'm like, dude, I want to train and be in shape. I got 6 wins in a row. I'm not going to fight unless I'm in shape. And stinking money got me to fight, being out of shape. And I should never took the fight. Honestly, I should never took the fight because I'd still be fighting because that's the day I blew my back. And if you look at my record, October 22nd, 96, what day was that fight with Alexander? October 22nd, 2000.
October 19, 2007.
19. It was the same time frame, 11 years to the day almost. I started and ended my career because I tore my L3 and ruptured my L4 in my back when he had me to standing guillotine. I went to pick him up and my back gave out. But I had heard it trying to train real hard for 5 days before the fight with Russian kettlebells and all these different weights. And I pulled my back and I remember it was numb. And my old wrestling coach from high school, Mr. Morgan's like, come on, you can keep going, Bobish, keep going. I go, my back's wrenched. And then when I got in that fight, it felt like I heard it go. and that ended my career. To this day, I need a hip now because of that back injury. I've been
Oh,
limping ever since that fight. I've still been fighting it, definitely, or pro wrestling. Well, I was only 37 when I got hurt.
hmm.
I mean, I'd have thought I was 45 at least, unless I got hurt.
So,
Remember in Brazil in 97 or 96, Dan Severn told me, wait till you get your first back injury, Bobish. He'll set you straight. You'll be around 35, 32 to 35 years old. 37 blew my back.
oh.
It's a true thing, man. You hurt your back, you're done.
Dan, you've got an incredibly interesting career,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
what I like about it is I can't. How many text messages that I send you just
Yours.
periodically?
Yeah, I'm like, who is this cat?
I would let go. I would let go, dude.
Thank you, though. I told my son, he goes, they're actually going to talk to you? I go, yeah. He goes,
Yeah.
because my kids didn't know me, and they watched the videos of me fighting. They're like, that ain't you. Is that you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's your dad.
Dan, you're one of the hard guys to reel in, but I don't think there's not a lot of qualified people to interview somebody like you.
I just
And
go
they
to
kind
work
of,
every day.
yeah. What are you doing now, if you don't mind me asking?
You're going to laugh. I'm a hearing aid specialist.
That's
I
cool.
sell hearing aids. I
That's
take
cool.
grandma, little old ladies. I take the wax out of their ear and make a mold of their ear and test their hearing and service their hearing aids. Been doing 11 years now.
Well,
Good.
you're doing the Lord's work. I got a pair of Starkies myself. There you go.
Starkey.
Yep.
Yep. And you're in my ears right now, man. I
Yeah.
love it.
Dan, do those things translate in real time?
No, they're Google delay. They do 27 languages.
Yep.
Yep.
What kind of delay is it?
Like a couple seconds, but it has a little pause, Just
Yeah,
like go ahead.
you can go get a pedicure and hear what the Vietnamese girls are saying about you.
Right. Yes, you can. Just sit there and go, oh, that's what you think of me.
Yeah.
He don't tip enough.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys. I didn't think you'd be on here this long. That's cool, man.
Yeah, you know what, Dan? We get guys like you, and generally speaking, we get a lot of last interviews, so to say, because guys like you just don't like doing them. Like you just are just no.
Yeah. I miss because I can't be who I was. I'm embarrassed. I miss being who I was.
Oh,
Big time. I fucking hate it. I can't even
yeah.
go fishing. I used to go elk hunting and stuff. I can't walk. I got a stupid cane until I was 500. Now I've been coming down. I lost 142 pounds. I got another 60 some to go, and then they'll give me a hip surgery. And I can't wait to get a hip so I can start lifting again and having a life again.
Are you doing Ozempic?
Monjero. Yeah, same
Okay.
thing.
Okay. That
Yep.
helps.
Yeah, it helps. But I was dieting for a year before that. I lost like 80 some pounds just slowing down eating.
Good for you.
Because I can't run, I can't walk on a treadmill, I can't ride a bicycle, I can't swim, I can't reach my left foot. It's locked up. And the doctor goes, you should be in a wheelchair. Your pain tolerance is probably very high. I go, if you only knew how much pain I can take. But he goes, you should be in a wheelchair. He goes, I can't believe you can walk with a cane with that hip that bad. I'm like, please give me the surgery. Not till you're 320 or under.
So Joey, when I first started texting Dan, it was a whole bunch of one-word responses, and I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm getting Bobish. I'm like, nope.
Yep.
Nope.
We've been talking about getting this interview for 2 years. I'm not, no joke.
Yeah,
my wife Nicole goes, why don't you just do it? I'm like, because what are they gonna say to me? I was nobody. I'm nothing.
That's not true.
But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of history there. But I mean, I was this close twice to being the shit. But yeah.
No, I saw them put a belt around your waist. You were not a nobody.
Here.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Think about this. You were this close to Volchenchen and this close to Hunt. You get one of those names on your record.
Yeah, I know.
It's not hard to imagine you getting the win over Big Daddy either,
No.
No.
I
thought I would beat him.
He pulled the John Jones move on you.
But he pulled it big time. Like he put it through. Go watch that fight and slow-mo it right at the first, as soon as they say fight. Stop it,
Yeah.
pause it, go frame, frame, frame. You'll see that thing go all the way
Yeah.
knuckle deep in my head.
Oh,
See, the issue is that there was a couple strikes after, and that's all they would replay is a couple strikes after. It's like, no. You got to start from the beginning
Yeah,
because
I threw that big hook to back him off me, and I grabbed my eye. I go, my eye, dude. And the referee looked at me, fight. I'm like, you don't even understand fucking English. And I just covered up, and he punched me. And Forrest Pets, the meat cleaver, was there with me, and Basil Castro. No, Ron. He's a power lifter. He was a strongman guy with Pope. Anyway, it was Ron and Forrest. And I go, is my eye there? You could see it on the pay-per-view. I'm on one knee. I go, do I have an eye? Is my eye there? And they're like, yeah. I thought it was gone. I really thought my eye was missing. That's how it was terrible. It was
Dan,
terrible.
let me bring up a name from the past. Phil Masterson.
Yeah,
What did
I
he
know
mean to you?
Phil. I love him and his family. They were
Matt,
with
his brother
me.
Matt.
They both fought for me when I put my own shows on. I had the Ultimate Cage Battles. I used to put fights on in Cleveland. And Phil and Matt used to fight on my shows. And his mother and dad and all them would help me sell tickets. And he got whatever happened to him in Put in Bay. It was freaking terrible.
Yeah, Zachary Brody got him. It was two MMA guys having an argument, and I think Zachary Brody took like 20 years for that.
Yeah, but what he did to him was horrible. The way they found him.
Yeah, buried in the woods with a tarp over him and
Garbage can.
So Put in Bay, Joey, just so you know, is this island in Ohio that's like a big party
Lake
island.
Erie.
And I don't even think they have a police department there because of the way
It's right
the
across
island.
from Cedar Point. They got police there, but it's like island drunkard police.
Yeah. so it's kind of like it's a huge, very popular party spot here in the
Party
Midwest.
island.
Yeah. And this guy was out there, ran into another MMA guy. Like a lot of people, like 3 people went to jail over this, where it was really one person that should have.
His brother Matt was like the quietest, nicest guy. And Phil was another quiet, nice guy, but he's the one that would say, no, you know what? Fuck you. Let's go. You're going to call me out and say I'm a puss? I'm going to show you I'm not. He was tougher than everybody gave him. They were both very tough guys. But Matt was the toughest, though. He's a badass. He could have went somewhere if he was more into it. He just didn't give a shit. I remember he fought on my card, he'd win. I'm like, dude, you look great out there. He goes, yeah, well, I mean, he fought some tough guys.
Yeah, take the moment. Yeah.
He didn't even care. He goes, yeah, well, maybe next time I'll win again. Like it was no big deal. And he fought like a hell of a fight. He's a tough guy. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. That was terrible.
Yeah.
So a couple of fighters run into each other on this island and somebody pulls a gun? Is that?
No, they get broken up. And then
they were at the bar arguing, and then they went back to the campground and got in. Then they come and found him over there. And I don't know how it transpired, but
I think a submission.
Who was at fault? Who did what? But
I think a submission, like reading between the lines, got him in a submission hold and finished it. Continued to beat on him afterward, blood everywhere.
With other friends with him.
Yeah, drags him into the woods.
So they hid the body after they killed him.
Girlfriend and bartender helped wash the blood off. And dude, man, it's like the right thing to do. Call the authorities.
Yeah, I made a mistake. We're drunk, and I held this choke too long. You probably went to jail for a year or less.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But no, you're gonna play the
gangster role. Yeah, play the gangster role.
I'm a tough guy. I want to be a tough guy. Because I'm sure he's not a real tough guy.
No,
just committed a tough crime.
Muscles the bartender and his girlfriend go along with it. They take 6 or 7 years apiece. Yeah, dude. Yeah, they got everybody.
They deserve it.
Absolutely. They had an opportunity to make the right decision as well. If this guy's not going to make the right choice, let's make it for him.
Right. 100%, dude. Yep.
Yeah, you got to pay taxes. Everybody pays taxes.
Joe, you look so familiar now that I look at, like, did we meet somewhere before?
You know what?
Grinder.
briefly in the Grinder, yeah.
No,
No, we met at King of the
not my
Cage.
ass.
We met at King of the Cage because I was hanging around with Larry Landless backstage, but just briefly.
Yeah, but you look, yeah, like I've seen you. Like I thought I like hung out or something because you look really familiar now. Every time as the show's going on, I got hit in the head for a living. Takes a minute. Got to ring the bell a few times. I start remembering. Yeah, you look real familiar, brother.
Joey, let's line this thing out, man.
Yeah,
man, I really enjoyed your career, and I'm really glad we got a chance to have this conversation. No
awesome,
bullshit.
man.
Me and Mike have been talking about trying to get you for 2 years.
Dude,
so now we're gonna bug you less. I promise.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
You still get the
If you ever need
occasional
anything,
text.
give me a text. I'll answer it next time and be there.
Good.
All right.
Good.
All right.
Dan,
Thanks,
care,
guys.
buddy.
Take care of yourself.
Another good one in the books, man. I'm telling you, I had a busy day today. I've got the UFC tomorrow and 30 people coming over, but you're getting Dan Bobish on the phone. I'm not missing that one.
Yeah, dude, it was kind of fun. It was kind of funny. You were like, wait, Bobish? I don't care about my party. My wife will be mad. My wife's been puffing and puffing over here for about the last 45 minutes. It is what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, I gotta talk to people about something. There's something real interesting that happened with us. In the last month, we've gotten 70,000 downloads on Spotify. Just on Spotify, which is pretty cool.
Good numbers.
Yeah, real good.
No. Put it in context. 3 months ago, what were we getting in a month?
Maybe 10, just on Spotify.
So times 7. That's significant.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Another thing is we got another review on iTunes, or not iTunes, Apple, on actual Apple, and it starts with here, dude. It goes by AV3 Firefighter.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
This is where I've got an issue. Okay, so AV3 Firefighter. I don't recognize those first 2 letters as anybody's initials. And then they're also a firefighter.
Right.
Which is weird. Like if I put AV and firefighter together, I might know this person, is what I'm thinking.
You're saying you might know somebody whose actual name is Anthony Venti III, who was a firefighter? Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. I found this podcast on accident and quickly became hooked. I've heard many episodes. It's only gotten better as time has gone by. Every friend I've turned on to them has thanked me. All right. So this was January 27th, 2025.
Right.
Dude, why didn't you write this a year ago?
I didn't know I had the Apple app until you sent me a link to some podcast that was on Apple. The Apple app is on my phone, but I've never used it. So once I realized I had it, I wrote the damn review for you. I didn't know what that little app was on my phone. I'm old school.
Joey, I've been angry ever since reading this. Just going, that son of a bitch.
So it was worse that I did one late than if I should have left it alone.
I would have thought it was buried at some point.
Okay. I left you one on Spotify when I found the podcast. Okay, so
that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Okay.
It's
fair.
Not an app I use. That's all I can say.
Dude, I look forward to seeing you. I think I'm out in California in June.
Let's do it.
I look forward to seeing you and the family, brother. Appreciate it.
Good hanging out with you.
Bye. You as well. Take care.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.